Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. 73 degrees right now. 87 is the expected high, and the expected low tonight, about 60. So take that forecast and repeat it tomorrow. Copy and paste it to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Looks like the whole week is going to be exactly like it is today. So we're not complaining except for the fact that we need a little bit of rain. I could not do my job if I didn't read, and for the last 5 years, Robin and I have been helping with the Marion County Literacy Council to help them in their mission to teach adults who have never learned how to read, learn how to read. If you don't have reading skills, a lot of times it's something you carry secretly and hide it. And we've always known the importance of reading. And of course, it's important what you read, but we are going to now learn why it's important how we read. How we read is important, and I learned that from our next guest. Kylene is the author of the book called Disruptive Thinking, Why How We Read Matters. Kylene is an authority in literacy education and an award-winning teacher and so many more credentials, but let me not waste any more of her time and say good morning to her. Good morning, Kylene. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. Where are you?
I am today in Waco, Texas.
Well, thank you for being on there with us today. Robin and I support a local agency, and what they do is they take they raise money so they can teach illiterate adults how to read, and it's amazing how many don't know how to read. But you're teaching us. No, they don't know how to read, but you're teaching us how to read. We may be doing it wrong, right?
Well, I doubt that you're doing it wrong, and congratulations on that wonderful endeavor. That's a great thing you guys are doing. You're probably helping people learn how to get through words and develop some fluency and hopefully read longer and longer works. What we're talking about in Disrupting Thinking is building on those important skills and reminding teachers and parents and ultimately the kids they work with that when we read, we need to do more than just extract information from a text. We need to actually transact with that text, meaning interact with it, because what we need to do, especially in this age when we're bombarded by so much information, is be willing not just to take information in, because that's when we actually get taken in, but we need to be able to push back occasionally and say, I don't know that sounds right, seems right, and all of that is about interacting with the text more than simply extracting from the text.
I love what you're saying right there. I feel like I've done this all my life. I feel like a lot of times I've read things and thought that doesn't ring true, and we have a tendency. I think you're right. We have a tendency to believe everything we read, but I'm part of the National Enquirer generation, so there was a lot of stuff I didn't believe.
I'm a great front-page reader of the National Enquirer as I'm standing at the grocery store. I don't want anyone to actually see me reading it, so I never do turn the page. I never take it out of the rack and discover, is Angelina Jolie actually having the love child of a Martian? I just am stuck with whatever is on the first page.
Right, and there's that kind of a story, which probably most people would think obviously is not true, but but a lot of journalism today, and I don't need me to suck you into what is kind of a political conversation, but a lot of journalism today is factual, but
all language is political. All language is political. And so it doesn't have to be about let's take this side or that side. I think we've got enough side-taking going on in the nation. I think what we all want to do is teach children how to read both responsively, in other words, what does this mean to me, but also responsibly, meaning am I just taking something in and repeating it, or am I actually thinking carefully about the language? And we ought to do that for every single politician we hear.
Absolutely.
Our democracy is based on language. We are one of the few nations that was formed out of a written document. And so we have always valued the written word. And so at this point, maybe more than any other point, because social media allows us to have people's thoughts immediately put in front of us, we need to say, is there evidence? Is there logic? Is there reason? And so everything we read ought to be read through the lens of, what do I know about this information? Can I verify this information?
Oh, very right.
And we've got to ask that before we hit that really dangerous button on our computer called share.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, and here's the other. This is the example I like to use. Here's the factual statement. The car hit the fire hydrant. The slanted story is the car hit the poorly marked fire hydrant, in somehow blaming the fire hydrant for the crash. Mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what happens sometimes. And I think that applies to what you're talking about, right?
It does. And let's even take it one step further. There is satire, which has been a part of our written language for forever. Gulliver's Travels was satire. The satirist expects the reader to be intelligent, but the writer of fake news expects the reader to not know how to question. I mean, he's depending upon the gullibility of the reader. And so one person needs the reader to be a part of the inside joke, and the other one actually becomes angered when you question the lie. And so what we want to do is teach all kids how to say, when do I stand alongside of this, and when do I just have that hunch that I better go and check this out, look for more information, and when do I actually stand in opposition to it. And all of that happens when we teach kids to read by interacting with the text more than simply extracting from it.
And reading instills hunger in the individual, because all of a sudden, this whole new world opens up for them. And if they're going to go into certain career paths, they go and read all about that. If they're going to do other things, they read all about this. And that really instills the hunger of them to keep moving forward in their life, whether it's career oriented or just for enjoyment to satisfy whatever they want to research.
Oh, Robin, that is such a great point, because what we want everyone to become is a lifelong learner and not just a school-time reader. So sometimes I need to actually learn something new with whatever I'm doing at this stage in my life, and sometimes I just need to learn more about the world, which I can do just as well through fiction in many cases as I can through nonfiction. If I think about who I am at this point in my life, I'm married, I have adult children, I am not yet a grandparent. If they're listening, I'm happy for that to happen anytime.
Oh, me too. I agree with you.
Right, right. And so I look and I say, wow, look at everything I'm not. I'm not a person who lives in a different country. I'm not a male. I'm not someone who already has grandchildren. There are many things I am not. And when I read a piece of fiction where the character is that person, I learn to see the world in a more expansive way. So when we read, we actually we have the opportunity to become more compassionate, and then we can carry that compassion with us to the next text we read, so that I understand how this world functions just a little bit more by reading about people who are different than I am. Yeah. Perhaps that's the best gift we can give kids. Media studies show that most adults go to media sources that confirm the way they already think. Maybe
that's
if we actually want to,
true, yes.
Yeah, no, it is true. And if what we want to do is actually become a world that is less divisive, then what we've got to do is step outside of our own comfort level.
Oh my gosh!
And read from that other perspective.
You're singing the mantra of this radio show. In our business, it's not so unusual for talk show hosts to be one-sided. And Robin and I made the decision long ago that we were going to have sources and resources and guests who represent every side of it, even if it's a side we disagree with. Because that's how we learn, and we have to respect the intelligence of somebody who sees the world differently than we do.
And oftentimes when we do that, we discover if we're not going to change everything we thought about that position, we may discover, I need to rethink this one little part. And sometimes we completely change our minds about something. You know, reading is a change maker. Reading is what can allow us to take in information without the other voices in our heads. You know, I love radio. I think that things like what you're doing every single day helps inform listeners, but I also love when I can just read it and hear it in my own head.
Yes.
Because that's when I can slow down and really think about this. But if I'm only reading from one perspective, one viewpoint, then I'm just becoming a one-sided person.
I love what you're saying. Absolutely true.
You know, we've got too much of that. Common ground is going to be the best way to move forward. And that doesn't mean that we won't all disagree on different things at different times. Clarence Darrow said that to disagree is to think. But I don't think disagreement has to be rude, and I don't think it has to be mean.
Oh, you're so right.
You know, and that's one thing we talk about in Disrupting Thinking, that we want children to learn how to listen responsibly, and compassionately.
Wonderful message, Kylene. We are out of time. Thank you so much for being on the air. I have a copy of the book, Disrupting Thinking. You call me if you want the copy. The rest of us have to buy it. How do we do that, Kylene? We got to take 10 seconds.
Scholastic.com/Disrupting Thinking.
All right, that's easy enough, and we'll put the link on the podcast that we're going to upload later on. Thank you, Kylene. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
I enjoyed it.
We'll be right back.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. A Cleveland man claims he was angry at a woman when he randomly shot and killed a man passing by, then posted it on Facebook. Police hunting for 37-year-old Steve Stevens in several states.
We're asking the public to remain vigilant. We're asking you to go about your day, but to be careful.
Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams. On another video, Stevens claims to have killed more than a dozen people. Those shootings not confirmed by police. Vice President Mike Pence with a warning for North Korea after its failed weekend missile test.
The vice president said President Trump is hopeful China will use its extraordinary levers to pressure Pyongyang to abandon its weapons.
If China is unable to deal with North Korea, the United States and our allies will.
Vice President Pence calling the North's failed missile launch a provocation.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland, the vice president in the Korean DMZ, part of a 10-day Asia-Pacific tour. Fox News, we report, you decide.
In business, risks and rewards come with every decision, like moving to the cloud with Office 365. While its benefits include anywhere access and lower costs, cyber threats and user errors can quickly wipe out data and the money you save. Barracuda Essentials for Office 365 provide an added layer of security and functionality for threat protection, email migration, data recovery, and quality of service. Move securely to Office 365. Visit barracuda.com/essentials to learn more.
As a 300-foot tall dino monster, people think all I'm good at is rampaging. But there's more to me than that. Just like Geico. Yeah, they could save you money, but they also have over 75 years of savings and service. So Geico is super good at insurance. And yeah, I like rampaging. But I'm also a huge fan of opera.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Ad Council. Today in Florida Ag News on the Southeast AgNet, we have our weekly Commissioner Spotlight.
I'm talking with Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture, Adam Putnam, about a special event happening this month at the Florida Agricultural Museum.
The Florida Agricultural Museum was designated in 1992 as the state of Florida's Museum of Agriculture and Rural History. Located in Flagler County's city of Palm Coast, The museum celebrates our state's rich agricultural heritage, from guided tours that take guests through a pioneer homestead built in 1880, a rustic citrus complex and barns, to horseback trail rides and other dynamic exhibits. On Saturday, April 22nd, from 10 to 4, the Florida Agricultural Museum will celebrate Family Farm Days, a living history event featuring hands-on activities, crafts, music, a petting zoo, and so much more. Admission is $5 per person with no charge for children under 5. For more information on Family Farm Days, check out www.floridaagmuseum.org.
Thank you, Commissioner Putnam. For Commissioner Spotlight, I'm Gary Siemens.
I'm the neighbor with the orange tractor. I plant, grow,
I think so.
harvest, haul, and feed. Caring for the land is a responsibility we all share out here. For our families, for ourselves, for us all. This is why I do it. Kubota. Right now, a Kubota M7 can be yours with 0% financing for up to 84 months. Now through May 31st, 2017. Call toll-free 1-800-794-4992 for details about cost and terms.
Hey, Mike, what's the word today?
Well, the way crop prices fluctuate, I might try to save money on my nutrition program this year. What do you think?
Well, did you end up using Black Max 22 last year? It's been part of our nutrition program the last 5 years, and it can put between $10 and $50 an acre into my pocket year after year.
Oh, that's the one you told me about. It's designed to help my soil provide nutrition better and cut down on burn from fertilizer, right?
That's LHC technology.
Okay, I think I'll give old Black Max 22 a try.
Black Max 22. If you feed it, you need it. See your local CPS retailer today.
Randall Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car